Bill Gallagher, he was lean and oh so very mean. He always carried a gun. He'd shoot you where you'd stand. He was that kind of man. He never thought to run. Where the Grey Bull River runs in the Teetsee sun. Belle Drury, she was fair, each man knew her there. Prettiest girl in town. If beauty was her charm, her loyalty would do harm, siding with the worst around. Where the Grey Bull River runs in the Teetsee sun. Well, Gallagher, he did well, 'cause he loved pretty Belle. He was her kind of man. But she would not stay true, loved another man she knew. For Bill Wheaton she had plans. Where the Grey Bull River runs in the Teetsee sun. Well, Gallagher, he got crazed, said he'd shoot them in their graves. His jealousy was undone. She wooed him and cajoled that he might let them go, but gave Wheaton a loaded gun. Oh, the chance to walk away, oh, the chance to live another day in the Teetsee sun. Bill Wheaton, he took aim, resting on the old door frame, and shot him in the back. Gallagher, he fell dead, but I'll get them, Blind Bill said. But he suffered the same attack. Where the Grey Bull River runs in the Teetsee sun. His crime was plain to see, for 8 years he'd not be free. He languished in a cell. It was then he got the word, at a gunfight so he heard. Oh, he'd lost his loved one, Belle. Oh, the chance to walk away, oh, the chance to live another day in the Teetsee sun. There you go. Faithful Belle. True story out of Wyoming, USA. But it serves well in terms of part 3 of the part Capo So welcome back to the Part Capo Appreciation Society. Well done to those who've purchased one of these things and who've sent me stuff showing me how they're getting off on this trail of a new horizon in their guitar playing. Good on you. Again, a quick recap. You'll remember that this is now basically an E sus chord straight off, and by putting on one finger onto 4th fret, 3rd string, we have an E chord. The pattern of the tuning is now one tone up, but it's dadgad in its relationship to each other. What I'm going to show you today in this particular video is this one, the dadgad pattern of arrangement, but also flipping it up the other way, again shown in part 2 particularly, flipped up the other way into open tuning, and also there's another couple of places we can look at for the placement of the part capo up around frets 4 and 5. So we'll have a look briefly at those today and see then what we're doing around about a little bit more technical talk. Again, if you've seen 1 and 2 of this particular series, you'll know that I do not read music particularly well. I've taught myself to play by ear in the main, and I still do that. It's all about how it fits and the sound I get to me. So purists might have the twitches as they go through this, but if you can apply the technical pieces to it and yet have some fun doing all of this sort of stuff, good for you. Now, this I start off with just covering for Fateful Bell the 3rd and the 4th string on that 4th fret. And you'll notice that I don't use the 6th string for it. It's all around about the 4 in the centre, 5, 4, 3, 2, and I'll make use of 1, and 1 comes into it as I get going with the tune. But you'll see that what I've got here, I'm laying emphasis really towards the minor, but I'm not actually playing the full minor. If I was to do that, it would actually be a B minor. Think of it in terms of no part capo, going across what I refer to here as an A minor shape, if you like. The bar chord here and all of that covered B minor, including string number 1. But I can play that from here with the part capo by covering 1st string 2nd fret. I've got 2nd string 3rd fret, and then I've got fret 4 for the 3rd and the 4th. So this would be more like the full minor. And you'll get used to the fact, as the more you practice and play around with the part capo, the more you'll feel that some part chords are actually adding more. So, where do we go with this? Well, we lay the emphasis on the minor by just doing a little bit of a lift and a hammer down. That's on the 3rd string 4th fret, my ring finger. But if you notice, what I do is I relax my ring finger to make that stretch doable. And I don't lose anything in the sound of the guitar. The reason why I don't is that when that 4th string is covered there, I've got a B note, and I've got a B note playing on the 3rd string as I have on the open 2nd. So by lifting it off, I just get that playback. So I'm still leaning towards that minor throughout the song, but what I did there was I shifted to the A chord. And I could put my ring finger on And again, if you're looking at it in terms of what sort of standard shape is it all about, it's either this sort of pattern, you see my little pinky on, it's the G shape, whether you play it that way or that way. I much prefer to play it with the pinky in place because it still offers, then I can move my second finger, but I can also use my first index finger. But in this particular respect, I'm leaving the fifth string alone, and I'm stretching round to the second fret, second string. Just going back then. Here it comes. So all of those sorts of shapes, again, the classic of the part capo piece, in what we were saying in part 1 and 2, is the kind of the movement between what would appear to be a standard shaped chord or a dadgad shaped chord, as I've been referring to them. That essentially is the melody for the verse, and then it's got a kind of like a chorus that goes to the first 3 verses and the middle of the last 3, around about which in that package of the last 3, the second half of the song, there's also what is rather like a kind of a bridge arrangement, as I would refer to it. And what they tend to do is they tend to borrow more from standard shapes. But let's just have a little bit of a look about those and see what sort of variation we can also use in it, because the chorus begins to go, where the grey Bull River runs in Mateed sea sun. So you'll see that what I'm using there is, first of all, with what I might describe as an F shape. It's really the kind of the bar shaped chord, of where my second finger, ring finger and pinky are forming this sort of E chord shape, yeah, from what would be down here, E chord shape. But if I bar it, I get this barring. That's a G, G, A. So I can bar, I can play that way, or I tend to play it with my thumb around the top. So you see I get the complete, it's almost like in playing that G chord, I'm ignoring the part capo because I'm covering now all 6. Where the grey bull, there's the minor. So this is an F sharp minor, but the minor is like an E minor shape relative to that part capo, yeah, but my index finger reaches around the back of the capo and covers the 6th string. Now that's actually quite a useful shape to think about, because we can make use of that in other ways. Let's just go back over that chorus piece. Where the grey Bull River runs in Mateed sea sun. Now the sharp-eyed amongst you will notice that when I went to the minor, I only used 2 fingers down. Where the grey bull, not, but, and I'll let that go. So the choice is yours, really. Where the grey bull river runs in Mateed sea sun. Just before we come back to that E minor shape, that F sharp minor chord there, the what I call the bridge section in this is it kind of just changes the flavour a little bit as it comes off of that fourth verse. Belle Drury's story takes me 6 verses. It's colourful life, but the bridge refers to the way in which they could have avoided the trouble in the first place, really. Oh, the chance to walk away. Oh, the chance to live another day in the teensy sun. So, that's the way in which Fateful Belle comes about, with a part capo over this way. Now, back to that F sharp minor I've got here, that one. If you think of, without the part capo back this way, those 2 fingers on strings 4 and 5 would be an E minor shape, yeah? And the nut really is forming that sort of stop for me. But when I come up here, my first finger is really back at where the nut would have been. I get that one. But this is where the chunky chords, who refers to them as chunky chords? Steve Knightley refers to them as chunky chords. Other people refer to them more as power chords. But if essentially what they're doing is they're concentrating around those strings 4, 5, 6. Now let's go back to here, the chorus bit. It might make sense. Where the grey Bull River runs in the teensy sun. So I'm coming from the major to the G to the A. I'm trying to leaning a little bit major-y, but it gives me both. So there's Fateful Belle. And with Fateful Belle, you can see the way in which we're continually borrowing from standard shape chords, mixing it a little bit with dadgad shape chords, choosing whether to cover all of the frets that the books would tell us to necessarily, or not to, as the case may be. And that's the direction that you can start to flow in with the part capo especially. You can get to places where you're using more of the a part of a chord in place, and yet you're getting more bang for your buck by doing it that way. That's certainly my opinion, than you would otherwise. John O'Dreams. Fun with a part capo, eh? Now, we said last time round that there's other places that we can put the part capo. We might need to just touch up the tuning a little bit as we go, but one of the places we looked at was actually coming from underneath and covering now not strings 3, 4, 5, but now covering 2, 3, 4. There's something sweet about open tune playing. And with the part capo, you again can pick up the best of both worlds, being the sort of standard shaped chords that you might think of, and then the ones that lend themselves, in this case, to consideration more of open tuning chords. But when you start to look at them, the resemblance between different ones is quite apparent. That is D. And if we move up, we have an E chord, but we can do it this way. So there's a variety of things that we can actually do with the capo in that place. A couple more places. If we come back to putting it over the top, so we've got the two positions down here in fret 2. Over the top, the dad-gad relationship of tuning, and up round the string number 1, missing string number 1, but covering then 2, 3, 4, and that way we have open tuning in that position A. But take it to the 4th fret and come over the top again and put this in. And on first sounds it's like, really? But then we can put on what effectively are our normal looking chords, and the one that seems to sit around this most comfortably would be the chord that looks like a C down there. Because that is the chord of E. Do the same with the minor. An A minor shape, an F shape, a G shape, a D shape, a B minor shape, partly. Let's now bar the strings behind it. C shape. And there's that kind of the G shape type of chord where I'm stretching from that 3rd fret away from the part capo and tucking in the 2nd string alongside the capo. Can even put my ring finger on. So now without putting a standard capo in behind it, because that's the usual pattern, would be 2 spaces, 2 frets behind it, I can put it on the 4th fret, and sitting around that sort of one more. Go to fret 5, and the one that sits most comfortably here, and if you're thinking about this all the time, it's because of this whole relationship with that tuning exercise where you get the repeat of notes coming across from this fret. Because of that, we're getting a bit of almost like string repetition in the tuning sense. But up here, try a shape that looks like a G would in standard tuning down on that 3rd fret. So it just provides the different voice. It provides really what in some instances will be just the difference difference that will suddenly stimulate you thinking about other tunes. And if you're a songwriter, as I am, it just offers, again, that different stimulus that just creeps into your head and can just trigger some words, some lyrics that follow it, and before you know it, you're into actually a new song. So, playtime. I'll be putting on some more of these videos with other songs that I do at different points. I will choose between delving into and picking out the way in which the part capo actually works out, or just simply letting you watch the way in which I'm playing with a part capo in place, so that you might see something extra that's just dropped in, or extend your own envelope of playing that you can master with the part capo. But it's all about a little bit of creativity, it's all about a little bit of invention that goes with that, and it's just then using your ears to what sounds right. Have fun. Subscribe to YouTube. Keep in touch. Let me know what you think of this. And if you like it, the PayPal link is provided. Every little bit helps. Thanks ever so much. Take care of yourselves. See you soon. Bye.